Right on, writers. Welcome to the Books by Adrian Author platform. This is our flagship show, The Writer's Den, and where the host, yours truly, interviews authors, artists, and otherwise creative people. I'm very excited to be doing so today. We ask them all about their craft and their journey and their product, and we get down to the nitty gritty with them. So I love doing this show. You, the live audience, get to ask questions as we go along. So please do label them in the chat with a Q so I can easily find them, and I will throw them up on the screen. And as they are pertinent to what we're talking about, I'll throw them up there. And if we don't get to them as you throw it up, I'll get to them at the end as well. So we'll make sure to ask all of your questions. Throw them up there. I am your host, Adrian Santiago, and I'm very, very happy that you guys are here. Thank you. I see you guys in the comments in the chat. I'm going to be reaching out to you guys in just a minute. I am the author of the sci-fi fantasy series MYTHIC. Book 1, Shadow of the Spark, is available wide. Boom. This big boy right here. He's a chunky monkey. You can also pick up the ebook for the prequel, The Death and Rebirth of Bella Erdman, absolutely free by signing up to my newsletter. And that is a free ebook just for putting in your email. Go do that. It's awesome. You guys are going to like it. MYTHIC, Shadow of the Spark. Will the help of a witch and a bounty hunter be enough to catch a prolific serial killer? Or will Detective Vandersee's career end before she can close her first case? That is Shadow of the Spark. Check it out. We've got a wonderful show for you guys today. My guest is both an author and an artist. In the industry, we like to call that a twofer. And in my experience, twofers seldom stop at just two things. They tend to do a lot of things. So I'm here to find out what else Heather Scott can do. We're going to be doing that together, and I hope very much that you enjoy the show. Let's go. All right, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Welcome to the Writer's Den. It is the first episode in November. So as we say hello to the chat, I'd love for folks to tell me how their NaNoWriMo is going. Throw your triumphs and horror stories both in the chat as we say hello. Let's say hello to the chat. Hey, she was here so early we weren't even live yet. Hello, welcome. Heather Dewey Pettit, I can't talk, is also here. Hello, Jennifer Brown. Yo, Adrian. Yes. Please, as we go through the show, throw your questions in the chat with a Q. We will ask them of our lovely guest today. Let's introduce said guest. As an independent author, I know that I can't finish one job in the process of publishing a book without realizing that there's 5 other completely unfinished jobs that I have to learn to do and therefore accomplish. And Heather Scott decided to raise us all by one and does her own artwork as well. So here to tell us all about her World of Sivoa, and I'll find out if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Please welcome Miss Heather Scott. Here we go.
I like the little scribble that you had there.
It's nice, right? Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, how are you? Welcome.
I'm
Please.
like...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So, yeah, I'm answering your NaNoWriMo question. I'm already so far behind. But I made the pace calendar, so...
I started writing. I've got a couple of thousand words down, but nowhere near where I'm supposed to be by now. I'm falling behind. But tonight and tomorrow are my catch-up days. I'm going to get there. It's going to be fine. I'm going to switch us around because I'm kind of looking this way and you're kind of looking that way. And this way it looks like we're staring into each other's... This is much better. All right. So please tell the people at home.
Wanted to go cross-eyed.
Yeah, exactly. Tell the people at home who you are, where you're from, and an author who is also an artist that comes to mind and worth talking about.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, Hi, I'm Heather Scott. I go by H. Gorlet Scott for my pen name because there's a bajillion Heather Scotts. No joke. We follow each other on Facebook because we keep finding, uh, we like each other's art and stuff, which is
Cool.
really funny. There's a really cool violinist by the same name, so if go check out her stuff too. But yeah, I'm an author artist out of Orlando, Florida. My mouth completely just disconnected from my brain, and I have no idea what I'm saying.
You're good. You're good. You're doing great. Everything's fine.
Yeah, and that's actually probably why I went into, quiet arts, not performance arts.
Yeah,
Although I did DJ for a stint.
And solitary. You're not. You're even avoiding collaborating with the artist. You're like, I'll just do it myself.
Well, so that actually is more because I started this whole thing off as a comic artist. So like I did like illustration. I got really inspired by like McFarlane's stuff, Spawn, and Venom, and like those were the first comics I found, and I was just like, holy crap, a way to tell a story without writing. So I
little
started,
did you know.
Little did I know. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I did Sivoa here as a comic for years and years. I think 12 years. Before I realized that I was slow as heck. I would get like a 12 to 24 page issue out maybe once a year, more likely twice or once every 2 years. And I'd be like 90 before I even got through the first story arc. So I decided to switch to doing prose, and well, it kicked my ass in every way. Thankfully, I had like kind of an idea of how to write because I read so much, but there's so much, there's so many rules and so many things, and
well, that kind of brings me to the questions because, well, you know what? Let's do the swipe. Because I was gonna ask you what came first for you, if it was art or story, and it was two parts to that. One, what came for you first in life? Like, was it all about art at first, and then that led you into story, or the other way around? And then your process itself. Like, are you drawing first and weaving it into a story later, or are you writing out scripts and then doing artwork? Like, what's that like for you? Is it art or story first? What's going on?
God, it's both. Because I have like the attention span of a gnat. I First in life, it was art. It was illustration, and honestly, like my very, very, very first venture into art was, I guess, kind of like mosaics with tape balls.
Tape balls?
Yeah, I would roll up balls of tape and stick them to the wall and get in trouble for it. So after that, I would make apology cards with crayon and paper to my parents. And they liked those so much that I started just drawing everything. Then a little later on, I used to hang out with a friend over at her. I don't even know how to explain her property. It was like a farm. It was a apartment complex. It was just a whole bunch of things. And
okay.
So her grandmother had a storage shed that just kind of accumulated things from all the houses that were there. And I discovered comics, the McFarlane comics I mentioned specifically, in a box there. And after that, I started putting, more words than apologies to pictures, and would do like little alien comics for my brother.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, like, you would make them for him specifically?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I'm a parent. I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, and a lot of times if the house becomes quiet, my wife and I will like notice and be like, what are the kids up to? You know, because like that's the signal usually for parents that like
Oh
something
yeah,
horrible is happening.
absolutely.
And we'll go and we'll open the door to their room, and sure enough, my oldest is reading a book or a comic book, and my youngest is sitting there with his head on his shoulder, listening to the story, and looking at the pictures, and I'm just like,
Oh. Yeah.
and there you were making comics for your brother.
Yeah, because well, like obtaining comics was really hard because I was, born and raised here in Orlando, yes, but East Orlando may as well be like rural Alabama. There's nothing. So, and I think it was 4 miles, a 4 mile walk for us to even get to the little convenience store. So,
That's wild.
after I had read those comics to my brother, I ended up having to make them, so we had something.
I was a huge comic nerd as a kid, and I always looked forward to Wednesdays. I think it was Wednesdays when they come out. The new issues of each week come out on Wednesdays, and I would ride my bike home from school the long way so that I could drive by Walden Books because we didn't have a comic book shop in our town at that time. So my only hope of finding the comics I read was that spinner rack by the register at Walden Books that sometimes had the book I was looking for and sometimes didn't, and it was just a flip of the coin. I would just that was my whole like that was bad for me. So I
Yeah.
understand problems. It's like, but I get it. I get the frustration of like wanting your comic books, man. Like especially the ones that come out once every month on the
Oh,
same
yeah.
day. It's like you get jazzed up for that day. You can't wait to find out, if Spider-Man punches him in the face again or not.
Right?
My boys sound really sweet. Yeah, they could also be huge pains in the butt too. So don't let them fool you. They get away with a lot because they're cute, but
My daughter too. She gets a life.
they know it, man. Especially my youngest. He just knows it. He says it out loud. He's like, "I'm using my Q powers." I'm like, "Damn it! Here's the."
Yeah, well, he wins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
inevitably, every time. All right, so you're into making comic books for your brother. Like this is a hobby. This is an art form that you're playing around with. When does it turn from amateur to professional, hobby to product? You start selling Savoa. When did all this kind of come around and why?
Um, so there was definitely like a between period where it was both hobby and sort of professional, semi-professional.
Yeah,
I think
those
amateur is the
early
word.
stages before you go full blown. Yeah, where
Yeah,
you
and
you're getting
so
your toe dipped in the water.
yeah, so got fast forward many years to my I think junior year of high school. Um, I met the love of my life, actually the previous year, and he well got really into anime. We started going to an anime club here in town, held at UCF, and through them and I think like the Orlando Weekly, which wasn't a school newspaper, but somehow our school always had it. We found out about MegaCon, which is a massive. At the time, it wasn't massive, but um, it had aspirations.
Even when it
Hence the
wasn't
name.
massive, it was still bigger than most other cons in the area. I
Right.
remember I used to go to MegaCon a lot. I haven't been in a few years now. I can only imagine how big it's grown now.
It's insane.
Oh man.
But we went for their fifth year anniversary, which I think is why it was in the paper. And I was like, well, this is a thing I like. And I saw artists, selling their art, and I saw comic artists selling their comics. And I was just like, yes. So, oh God, you found the graphic novel there. Um, so gosh, I started, like, I had done the comic in my sketchbooks prior to this, but I redrew it, like the first issue, for MegaCon a number of years later. It wasn't that quick because, as I mentioned before, I was a particularly slow comic artist, and I did, I guess, just fan art at the conventions for a little while. But then I brought my comic in because I wanted to have, my own property to
Yeah.
showcase, and that's been a continuous thing. So all the way up until 2012, that was 2 years after I had my daughter. I had been doing it as a comic. I've been trying to, pitch it to, the few comic publishers, and MegaCon was pretty good for that at the beginning, because they had an affiliation with CrossGen. Studio Top Cow was there for a long time, and I got a lot of feedback, into the comic craft, like things that they're like, well, this is neat, but this isn't, and so there was I would take that information and go forward with it, which wasn't what any publisher wanted. They wanted a perfect, polished piece from the beginning. And so it really never went anywhere except for, on the indie market there. Actually ended up being a self sustaining thing, which was really cool. But in 2012, here I had, a 2-year-old, and I just,
Were
anytime
you
I clicked
saying
my
you were
pen.
busy? You were
Yeah, oh
busy
yeah.
with it?
But like what was even crazier is, at that point she was already walking and running.
Yeah, that's
Time
when
I,
you really get busy. That's what people don't realize. They think that the busiest time is when they're a baby. No, that's when they're easy because you get fast at
exactly.
changing a diaper, you get fast at giving them a bottle, or you get fast at burping them. All that stuff, like you figure it out. You get fast at
Yeah.
putting them to
Oh gosh,
sleep.
in those first few months, all they do is sleep.
All they do is sleep anyway, and then and dressing them is quick. Like you get fast at all that stuff, but once
Hmm.
they have legs under them and they can just get into it, now it's when you're busy, when you're chasing
Yeah.
after them. Like get out of that cupboard, you know?
Yeah, or let go of my hand, because as soon as there was
Yeah.
an art supply in it, she was drawing on my paper with me. So I had lots of comic pages that just have ink streaks going across, and
Oh no.
yeah. So I treasure those. Those are special to me. So pages
Yeah.
that I'll never sell. But after that, I was just like, man, I can't. She doesn't care if I'm on my phone. So I'm going to just write on my phone. So yeah. So my
You
first,
got to figure it out wherever
this one,
it can fit.
yeah, this first book here was pretty much entirely written on my phone.
That is bananas.
It
I
is.
want to ask you about that book a little more, being the first one that you published. But since we're on the topic of MegaCon, and you live in Orlando, I live in Gainesville now, but I'm from the Orlando area. I'm from Kissimmee.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Florida man land. What is your favorite thing to do here in Florida? This wild, wild country we live in.
Um, I guess hiking. I really, really like to hike around here. Like Florida is gorgeous, and this, once you get out of the cities, like even the cities have like really cool hiking areas inside within. Like I found what do they call them? Urban wetlands here in Orlando, and I was like, this is neat. You know.
Yeah.
So photography turned into a genuine hobby. Like I don't do anything pro with it, and I have no intentions to. I just like to go and take photos of, the wildlife, and particularly gators. They're fun.
Yeah. Have you been to Gatorland and taken
Oddly
pictures?
enough, I have not.
I used
And
to work there.
oh, really?
Yeah, I used to do their security. It was my like second job ever. I was 105 pounds soaking wet. Like I was just a tiny little thing doing security. Like I don't know what I was thinking, but that was probably my favorite job that I've ever had. And anytime Florida and Gators come up, I definitely recommend folks to go and check that out because it's quite the experience. Okay, so let's talk about the first book you published. It is one of the Sivoa books. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about that. Give us the elevator pitch. What is this all about?
Well, I have to work on the series overview statement, but because like the second book
Mission.
just came out, and
Good
I
and
never
live.
really planned on that. But the first book, is about a 16-year-old girl determined to escape a vile sorcerer, but she finds herself challenged by the maneuverings of an unseen insurrection. And the second book, which is actually the one that just came out, that one's about I can talk. That one's about an immortal fugitive learning how to rectify her mistakes after angering a son, a goddess, and a lover by killing their most precious creation. So,
Oh, there's all kinds of tea in that one.
yeah, and they're all connected. So,
Okay, all right.
So the middle one here, which is Sivoa Morning, it goes sunset, morning, zenith. To kind of help with the reading order thing. But Sivoa Morning is actually me being a super nerd. I don't know about you, but if you read a book in a series, like I get frustrated when side characters, even if they just appear like once, just disappear from the narrative.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to know what happens. What happened to them? Where'd they go? Did they live a great life after this? And so like after
Yeah, probably not.
yeah, probably not. As an author, I was like, well, I could do something about that. So I decided to 1 year release a monthly short story kind of vignette style thing to my Patreon, involving those side characters. And
Cool.
that went well. I illustrated images for each, and released them as a calendar the following year, and then as a book, tiny little book to go with the set. So
That's awesome. That's really cool. Wow. Okay, so when
that's fine.
When you decided to start it, like the World of Sivoa, first of all, did you have a plan for it to be a full series from the start? Did it evolve on you? Like, are you a pants kind of writer that way?
Why not?
No, you plan it all out.
Yeah, I'm definitely a planner. I like to have my framework to work within. And then like it comes, any improv it actually kind of comes as a problem solving thing for
And
plot holes.
you're not writing scripts for because it's comics, right? So you're not writing scripts. You're going
Not anymore, no.
straight into the artwork.
Yeah.
Writing it from the artwork.
So let's how to say, but I go back and forth. So sometimes the scene appears as an image, and then I'll absolutely draw it first, and then I'll match the scene up to it. If there are times where I'll have like problems trying to, particularly action scenes, I have a really hard time with understanding the action in a scene if there's just a lot going on. So I actually do like a little stick figure comic for myself.
Nice.
And then I translate that into words.
That's a smart way to do it. My sister had like this puppet that you could like pose into different positions. It was very like articulate, and you would just like pose it, and then that way you could draw the anatomy of like that action and stuff. And that's how she would do it.
Yeah, actually, I have one of those.
That's awesome.
Hopefully, I don't knock my microphone over, because it hits right behind the microphone.
Don't break anything.
So here we go.
Let's check it out.
He's a little Figma guy.
Oh yeah, that's well, that one has like even more detail than the one she had. Hers had very like smooth.
See,
that's so wild. Oh, it's like one of those old like GI Joes that has the rubber bands inside.
Yeah.
Those
so
are cool.
I have a female one as well.
There you go.
This one is Derpina, and this is Captain Steve.
Captain Steve. Now, you also started selling your artwork on your website. I saw that some of it is up there for sale. How did that get started, and how's that going for you? Do you have, a certain plan for your artwork? Do you have a particular piece that you want people to know about? Tell us a little bit about the art for sale.
Okay. The store is more of a side effect of everything that I'm doing. And even more so now, because in 2019, I had a really, really badass. I'm so proud of it, but it's gone. Website that was built with WordPress, and it had my blog, it had my portfolio, and it had uh, just
I
gosh, even my
sense, and
newsletter.
then I lost it all coming around the corner.
Yeah, me and I think, gosh, like a good third of the major e-commerce websites out there. Um, we were all hosted with Bluehost and their array of server companies and stuff. And on uh, New Year's Eve, either 2018 or 2019, just a third of their servers crashed. It just imploded, and everybody lost all their stuff. And there was no backups, nothing. So I was in that, unfortunately. And the the store was actually a godsend in that regard, because so I, you know, I met you at a convention. I do conventions. I sell my art at conventions, and so I use Square, like those little pucks that you
Me
see.
too. I used
Yeah.
it for the first time at that convention to sell books. I hadn't used it before because
Okay.
had
So
been.
using their point of sale system literally saved my ass, because I was able to, in maybe about 48 hours, have my inventory from my, my handheld stuff uh, ported over to their online service, their online store. And I was able to get a bare bones, version of my website uh, up because of it.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, that was great. But I don't know. I've had a website forever, many different versions of it that started off in
Let's take a look at it.
that's the
Hold
one.
on. Yeah, let's make it. Hang on. I know what I got to do. Boom. All right. Bingo. Okay.
Okay.
So we have the portfolio of artwork over here. I just wanted to show some of these.
Yeah. So the portfolio is going to take you to a Behance website.
Oh,
Um,
right.
yeah. The store is literally what we're talking about.
Shop.
Yeah. So
There it is.
all of this came up because I was able to port it over from the convention inventory, and it became my portfolio, because I still needed to apply to things and show my stuff, and I didn't have the time to really you know get it going.
Yeah.
Um, so now I just point people to the store for the portfolio as well. Um, and yeah, I'm very thrilled with this.
Like
Yeah.
I know a few of these that my wife would murder for.
Oh, well, she can just
That,
buy them. She doesn't have
but
to murder for them.
well, she always threatens that first, and then I'm like, we can just buy it. Like, oh, okay. But these are really cool, and there's some real like dark fantasy vibes, but then also like a lot of like bright and colorful, hopeful stuff, and I really like the what's it called, the range in your styles. Like
Oh, thank you.
this is really cool. Um, so I wanted to definitely show a little bit of this on the stream so that anybody who is interested can go to the website. Her link is in the description down below. Go check out
Yeah.
her stuff. Her books are available here as well.
Yep. So that's dragonmun.com, which came from my online screen name back in college. It's a flipped around, squished version of Mundane Dragon.
Oh, I was wondering where that was. I kept thinking that it was like a play on a mom, but I was like, but no, that's not right because it's Mun.
Right.
So yeah,
So, well, now that I am a mom, I don't mind it as much.
yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah,
Jennifer
gosh,
Brown
it was my
says,
social media before social media.
"Oh, is that what that was?" Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The back when we didn't really know what handles were going to turn into, and we were just making up stuff.
Yep.
You said that you started as an artist. Would you consider doing commissions for creating book covers for fellow writers? Jennifer
Oh,
Brown.
absolutely. Yeah, I do actually do that. So
There you go.
I it's in the other room, and so are the other three. But I do have quite a number of books that I have done covers for.
Let's see here. You mentioned on your website your sentient hair. What is its name? Tell us about this. I need to know.
Well, its name is Damn It, and it is sentient because it likes to catch and eat bees. uh,
Okay, so it likes to
it's
catch and eat bees.
pretty much. So I have natural, like this is obviously my natural hair. These are fun. Um, they're basically a big hair tie, but my natural hair is pretty curly. I've inherited my dad's Jufro, as he called it. Um, and when I let it grow long, it's where I like it most, honestly. But it's still super curly, and some days it's just really frizzy. And if it's even a little bit of wind, it's just all over the place, like an eldritch horror. And I've had problems with it, with bees flying into it and getting stuck. So that's yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but I have very big, thick, wild, curly hair, and I don't know if you can see it.
I can.
I have not found any bees in it yet, but now I know it's like a new fear unlocked for me.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, and you live in Florida, so just be careful.
to happen. Um, so, how is the family, the elf spawn, and the bottomless bellies? Because I sure as hell know that mine are always hungry. What's
Yeah.
what's the family life like? You guys doing all right?
Yeah, we're doing actually we're doing really good. Uh, Timeline is messing up on me here, but about 2 years ago, we actually managed to place a bid on and actually get a house. So
Beautiful.
now we're in debt forever,
Yeah,
but
the
we
American
have
dream, dead forever.
yeah. Um, but it's great because like we were definitely living in a crowded multi-generational house situation, and
Mm.
as much as I love my in-laws, we were all definitely getting on each other's nerves. And
In-laws
I
annoying, unheard of. I have no idea what you're talking about.
yeah, no, they're like I couldn't have had better in-laws. Let's just put it
Oh,
that
that's good.
way. Yeah.
That's
So,
good.
like, but yeah, we were definitely getting on each other's nerves. Now we're much less stressed. You know, don't have to worry about waking people up at weird hours of the night, and yeah, so it's
Cool.
great.
That's good.
Yeah, we're all
You,
still bottomless pits, though.
yeah,
We-
there will forever be. They will never stop eating. They always, my kids remind me of that raccoon from the Pocahontas Disney movie. He just will not stop eating. All right, so you mentioned that you do also do book covers and such for hire. Your website also points out that you've done some projects with some game companies as
Oh
well
yeah.
as publishing houses. How have those projects gone for you, and what lessons have you learned from collaborating with these other story forms?
Um, oh gosh. Okay. So there's two types of game companies that I've worked with. So I will go with the first one, just being video games, because that's pretty simple. All they like Adaloria Games and Rose Portal Games just wanted logo work, which I love logos. A lot of artists actually hate them for the same reason I love them. You've got this, single icon that's supposed to represent so much.
Mhm.
And the storyteller in me is like, yes, let's just cram as much, symbolism into this thing for these people as we can. so, so for Adaloria Games, I might be confusing which game is which, but they have a like a JRPG style game called The Princess Heart, and he came with a set of guidelines for me to follow, and like they were wonderfully specific and incredibly vague at the same time. So I was able to go and figure out like the style, the setting was kind of um, Victorian's not the right era. Opulence, like the age of opulence, like I guess maybe. Uh, Lots of fancy wrought ironwork
I'm
stuff.
rusty on my ages, so
It's
I'll just
okay.
take your word for it.
It's okay. So I, after looking at the style for the arts that they had there, I was able to, or not the heart. I figured out the style of heart I needed for their logo
Mm,
based off of their game, artwork and just story stuff. So yeah, and that was fun.
right.
I ended up doing Rose Portal Games' studio logo. Um, you know, Based off of that logo actually, and it was fun. Um, cool.
Yeah, logo work can be so like challenging. I commissioned a what's it called, like a branding designer for the logo in the corner, the Books by Adrian logo, and it was such an interesting process because we told her, me and my partners told her everything that we wanted to do with the books, like what we wanted to do in the future, like all these ideas of like where this Books by Adrian company could go and do. And the big three came down to, it's going to be writing books of all kinds, including novels, of course. There's going to be sci-fi and there's going to be fantasy. And so, with all the three of those in mind, she pitched us the that logo. The round, we have a round version, we have the square version. We bought both, uh, and I love asking people what they see in it because some folks will be like, "Well, I see the fountain pen," and I'm like, "Yeah, cool, totally." And then somebody else will be like, "Well, it looks like a rocket blasting off," and I'm like, "Yes, that's the sci-fi part." And then some people, myself included, the first thing I saw, especially since we have a black version as well, is like a dark tower over a tree line,
Oh,
and
I love
there's your
it.
fantasy.
Yep.
That looks like the Tower of Saruman or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like all three are encompassed in it. You've got, that kind of like gradient background that I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it just feels so sci-fi, so fantasy at the same time. It accomplishes everything I wanted. And then,
Yeah,
people
it's a
can always
very cool logo.
thank you. And then people can always make jokes about how phallic it is. So it hits all the points that I need and it makes me happy.
Right on. So you're at the fantasy or the romance convention, and you could be like, "No, see, I absolutely have, a
I got
mother in my
spicy scenes
logo.
in the book,
I can belong
Yeah, I could totally be like, guys, do you know what this is?
here."
I belong here just as much.
Yeah.
I remember the drunk dragons pictures. Love it.
Ah.
That
Oh
is
gosh,
awesome.
that one was so much fun to paint. I love that picture.
It was good to
Um,
see her at the convention as well. I ran into
mhm.
both of you. Bear with me one very quick second. I think I accidentally locked this door, and I want to unlock it really quick. One sec.
Oh, okay. So my door kind of automatically locks. So if
No,
it's
I
locked when
didn't.
I'm done with this all, I'm just gonna have to
I
throw
did that for
myself through
nothing.
it.
You did good. All right. So now, you have mentioned that you have, gone to conventions. You've sold at conventions. It also has shown on your website that you've done some exhibitions. I'm guessing artwork exhibitions.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about what it takes to put on a good work exhibition like that. Some, display your work, get people to show up, all of that. Like, what goes into planning something like that? Because I'm just like,
Ooh. Well, I don't run the exhibitions that I show in, so I'm lucky in that part. My friend Bradley Biggs, he's a curator, and he runs like he puts on many exhibitions throughout over the years, um, and I don't know, they're always really cool ideas. Uh, for his in particular, I have to make he comes up with a theme and then gives us like some guidelines to fit within that theme, and then we have to create pieces for the show. So my current one, which is Eureka over in the Orlando Science Center, the pieces that I have there are um, like the concept of the show is literally eureka, the moment, the where, you know, the idea hits. It's in particular with, you know, when art meets science. And that, I mean, science and art have been bed buddies forever. Like, if you look at the Renaissance, you have Michelangelo, he made his own paints. Most artists actually made their own paints then. And, that's chemistry straight up. Um, Gosh, especially if you look at like the weirdness of like tempera paint. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And it goes beyond just like paint artists. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
you've got magicians and all these other kinds of art styles
Yep.
that require engineering knowledge and all kinds of physics and stuff to be able to
Yeah.
pull off of these illusions like that. That's a really great point that I
Mhm.
hadn't really considered before. This
Yeah.
idea that
Right?
science and art
So
kind
when
of
he
go
came up
hand
with
in
that, I
hand.
was like, "You're a genius, man." Um,
Yeah,
yeah, for my
that's really smart.
pieces, mine are basically an homage to digital art tools. So I have one that pays, you know, um, homage to my first scanner and my first graphics tablet. So it's a little,
That's
and the fact that I did comics, it's actually a comic. So I have a comic hanging up in an art gallery.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
wild. That's
And
really
then my second one is an homage to web pages like HTML and coding, because when I started with websites, you literally had to make them using Notepad.
yo.
So
Remember, my dad, when computers were really starting to take off, my dad would build computers in our basement and then sell them to his buddies and stuff.
oh, that's awesome.
And anytime like computers would break down in the neighborhood, they would bring them to the nerd
Yep.
from Puerto Rico, and my dad would fix. And it was really funny because like that of course like infected me, and so I got into like all this. I didn't get the hardware stuff, it didn't click for me, but I got into the creative side of things with the software, and so I took a programming class
Yeah.
in school that I was acing because DOS is so closely similar to HTML. The early HTML coding, they kind of went hand in hand. Do this if this, and do it this
Yeah.
much, do it
That's a good
this way.
point.
So it was like it was kind of like when you're, for example, I speak Spanish as well. So when I took French in high school, I was able to, get a decent grade because I'm like, oh, they're both Romance languages based off Latin. They have the similar rules, the male and the female, all that kind of stuff plays
Yeah.
into it. I get this, like I can get by.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
and so that I equate that to the coding. And so I was really into like making websites. And my problem was I would design a brand new website top to bottom just for fun, just for me, some fan site, like some band that I liked or whatever.
Oh
And I would
gosh, I
put
made
it up.
so many anime shrines.
Oh my gosh. And I would throw them up, and as soon as I would publish them, I would immediately be like, I need to redesign this entire thing. I'm not happy with it anymore. And I would
Yes.
redesign the entire, and in coding, you got to do it in code. It would take forever and for no reason, like so much time put into these websites just to launch them and redesign them again.
Oh, my
And
friends used to joke that I dreamed in HTML.
you
So
know,
you're right there with me.
I might have had some HTML dreams in my day. You might be right about that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
probably haven't thought of them in a long time, and I eventually
Yes.
fell out of it, and it wasn't a big deal anymore. But you know what? It's the reason I'm not an Android guy. I'm an iPhone guy because I know
Oh,
myself. Androids are too customizable. They give me too much freedom. And I know that I would be like reorganizing my screen every day, trying to find like the best way to like, oh, I got to get a new background, blah, blah, blah. I would be changing it up so much. I like the simplicity and like, don't be a dumbness about an iPhone where I can just be like, this is just what it looks like. I don't have to mess with it forever. It'll be like this until it
yes.
dies.
No. The next time you come after me like this, send a town car.
Right, right, right.
I am constantly fiddling with my Android.
But that's why. That's where that comes from. That's where that comes from. Yeah.
Yep.
So like Android guys are always giving me crap about my iPhone. I'm like, dude, I'm just staying away from my addiction of redesigning things over and over for no reason. I just don't want that kind of freedom right now. I don't have time. I need strict borders to keep me productive.
What else am I going to do in the car line?
The car line.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was one week that I don't want to go back to. We homeschool
Okay.
now. Yeah, we put them in public school for 1 week, and we were like, that's enough.
Aw.
Homeschool time. Yeah, yeah,
My daughter's Girl Scout troop, they all go to the same school because
that's
that's just kind
adorable.
of how that rolls. And
Sure.
yeah, no, that's such an amazing group of girls.
That's good.
And I can't imagine keeping her away from them.
Yeah, I no, and they have their friends and they have their programs that they're into, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
have their circles and play dates and all that kind of
I don't
stuff.
know. The Florida, we get a lot of, Florida gets ragged on for its school systems and such. But to be honest, its homeschooling system is pretty awesome.
It is. It
So,
is
like,
very awesome. That's why we take
it,
advantage of it because it's so. I consider it so much better than the public school system and the way
yeah,
that it's
the
set up.
Florida
And
virtual school.
oh yeah, yeah. And
Yep.
teachers will be the first ones to be like, yeah, just keep them at home. Like you don't want them over here. This is bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's Florida. That's Florida.
Yeah.
I knew it from way back because I moved to Orlando from Buffalo. And when I moved, I was done with seventh grade and going into eighth grade. And when I got down here to Florida for eighth grade, they were teaching me things that I had learned in Buffalo in fifth grade. They were like three
Yeah.
years behind. And so I was like, I learned all this stuff 3 years ago. Where's the new stuff? And they're like, that is the new stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna breeze through this stuff. So I just like coasted through 3 years of school in Florida, and then when the new stuff came, I wasn't prepared because I hadn't been.
Oh no.
That's when my grades tanked. But it just speaks to like how behind Florida can be sometimes. Like it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's like that all over. Anyway, Heather,
Yes.
before we start wrapping things down at the top of the hour here, was there anything that you came today to promote or to tell us about to make sure that we are there for it? Please take the floor. Let us know what's coming up down the pipeline for you.
Oh, well, I mean, I initially came, I spoke with you at Orlando Reads Books, and that happened right as my Kickstarter for Sivoa Zenith wrapped up. And so I was like, I want to talk about that. And and so I did. Um, and I wanted to be like, you can get it everywhere. And I actually think you can get it
Oh, good.
everywhere. But it's either still pending on Amazon or might
That
just be
happened.
freshly released on Amazon. Because I had this wonderful debacle where how you print with Amazon, correct?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
KDP.
print through draft to digital.
Oh, okay.
They then send it to like everybody. I only deal
Yeah.
with one, and they deal with everybody on my behalf. So
Well, I mean,
yes and
your
no.
print books, when you order
Yes.
your print books. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
But,
they do that for me too, actually.
that's so cool.
Yes.
And I probably should have gone that route because I used their little previewer thing, and the first time I went through it, it looked fine. So I went and ordered my, print books after having approved it and stuff. And then I went back because I'm kind of vain and wanted to see my pretty book again, in the previewer. And it's not there.
Looks like, yeah, it's not there yet.
Ah, yeah. So anyway, when I went through the previewer again, it had pulled all of my documents metadata and included it in the text. And I was like, why? What are you doing? So I called them up and they're like, oh yeah, just upload the replacement file. That's a glitch or something with the settings that happened. And so I was like, okay. So I uploaded the file and thought I was going to be fine because, again, through the previewer and the downloadable draft copy,
It always
it looked
looks,
fine. It looked
yeah, it
good.
looks fine.
Yep. So I got my Kickstarter, print run, and all of the metadata is printed. So that was really frustrating.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds horrible. Yeah.
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 So,
I mean, draft to digital is the print side of things just came out of beta. So it still has, it's glitches to fix every now and then. Something like that might happen. But so far for me, thank God, I haven't seen anything like that. Um, that I didn't want to like even go into dealing directly with KDP right off the bat. I wanted to do it this way to like ease in, but eventually I'm going to probably have to because I'm basically losing twice out of it by
oh,
doing it
yeah.
doing.
Yeah. Because when you upload your own files there, you don't have to worry about the profits going to the service that did it for you first. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
like the draft to digital only takes 10%, which isn't too bad.
oh,
But then
no.
you add that to what Amazon takes, and then it starts to it's a bigger chunk.
Yeah. So I get 60% from Amazon. So,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I probably get just about that, maybe a little less.
Yeah. So, yeah. But you can get the book because Amazon was an outlet, not the primary. So I'm gonna go. I went with Ingram Spark this time around, and I'm gonna do the reorder through Ingram Spark, and because of that, it's still available pretty much everywhere.
That's good.
Um, and they have the non messed up files, so and they're not messing up with my files, so I don't have to worry with them.
Which count yourself lucky because I've heard some horror stories about Ingram Spark as well. I'll tell you what, like I considered them for a moment, and then I steered clear
Well,
of them.
they just have a really hard system to work
Yeah,
with, and
I
actually,
learned the ropes of it, right?
right. And when I did the book covers for others, I experienced that um, firsthand, and they were, you know, you have to go through their channels so thorough, so specifically, I guess,
Mm.
that the end result of it really can't be messed up too badly. Like if it messes up at all, like it,
That's good.
yeah, because it's just so strict.
Hmm.
And that was why I went with Amazon first. It was just like, it's too hard. So I'm kicking myself for that one. But
Yeah, because then in the end, those things that were like kind of annoying to deal with ended up being what saved you.
yeah, exactly.
Interesting. A valuable
Yeah.
lesson for the kids at home.
Yep. So again, if you guys want to pick up, the books, they are available at worldofsivoa.com. The signed copies are the default setting there, but you can order them unsigned. And any of the places that offer it in ebook, they're linked to on the book listings. So
And you can also get to all of those places through your website,
yes,
correct?
dragonmun.com as well. Yeah.
Link down below for that. So one click stop for you guys. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Miss Heather Scott, it has been absolutely lovely speaking to you today. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for talking to us about your story and your journey and your books and your products. And this is really, really cool. I tried to create a graphic novel some years back, and of course, needed to collaborate with an artist to do that. And as you can see, I have no graphic novel in my hand to show you. So things happen. And
Oh man, if you think the indie publishing, the book novel publishing world has gotten hard and
try to make a graphic novel.
something, the comic industry is so much worse.
Oh, it's wild out there, man. It's wild out
Mhm.
there. For anybody here who is learning about Miss Heather Scott for the first time and you want more of Miss Heather Scott, come back to this very spot, this channel on Friday, where we will air the green room. She and I are going to go record that after this, and you guys can watch that recording in all its glory on Friday. So come back for that. There will be a link to that in the description of this video once it actually exists. It doesn't exist yet. And I'll put the link in there for you. And then, of course, if you follow on subscribe on here on YouTube, you're going to be able to get notified when that goes up. Yay. All right, guys, newsletter link down below. It's going to get you this as an ebook for free. If it's free, it's for me, right? That's the rule. Get it. It's going to be awesome. You're going to like it. There's like psychedelic stuff in it and it's sci-fi. Like, why not, right? And then go pick this up because this is going to make you want to read that. That's the whole point. Go do it. All right. Mythic Shadow of the Spark. It's mine. Right on, writers. Thank you so very much. Thank you again for being with us. And stick around. We're going to do the next show. For everybody at home, right on, writers. We is out.